And when I tell people, if there's ever a bucket list, whether you're young, old, if you're someone who really wants to better understand vibes when it comes to celebrating the Caribbean culture and spirit, you have to put the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival on your bucket list. If people tell you, "Oh yeah, I've been to Carnival before," and that's like saying I went to Caravana or I've been to the West Indian Festival up here in Brooklyn and things of that nature. That's
Mhm.
all well and good, but you ain't been to the Mecca. You gotta do the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival one time, at least once, okay? And I tell you, I'll never forget that experience, because the first time that we went there, we just went there to spectate. I will tell you, don't ever go to a Trinidad Carnival and think you're just gonna be spectating. "Hey, you mind if I can borrow your bat?" And he's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, I and he was my friend, but he knows me more than anything. He knows that, like, because I saw him swing and hit a home run, I'm like, "I wanna try his bat." Little do I know that his bat is like I'm a twig, and this bat is like 3 times my size. He's like, "I don't know if you should be swinging that bat." I was like, and this is the reason why you practice with your equipment, you practice, so that it's probably so that you don't hurt yourself.
I know where this is going, but
Right,
continue.
right. So we're in BP, and, the coach is like, he's throwing pitches, and the very first swing, I whipped that bat around because I knew it was heavy, so I figure I gotta be quick and let it fly with the hands, and I let that sucker come around and whack me right upside because I just did not it was too heavy, and it was
Learn.
too heavy. But that's a delicate balance though, Lisa, because, what you were saying before was it's like, we want the kids to learn how to have fun, um, but you can tell that the kids actually wanted to compete, right? They wanted,
Absolutely.
obviously, the bragging rights. See, that's a delicate balance because it's not like the intent is you don't wanna try hard, but you certainly do not wanna go in there thinking that you can just they walk all over you. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, like, I'm not even trying to err on that side of caution. I try to do this to my nephews anytime. I don't care if we're playing air hockey, whatever. I'm like, "You" I was like, "You need to prove to me that" you know what I'm saying, "that you're the man." Because they're not afraid to start talking smack before we even go out there and play. So then I gotta shut them down. You know what I'm saying?
Right, 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 right.
Because the
You
kids,
know,
they
like,
came to kick ass. They don't care. They're like,
if you're
they
playing
have the permission to whip, so they're gonna
exactly.
yeah, they're
You
going
know
I got invited to go to the NBA All-Star Weekend, one year, and I actually invited Shaw to come out there as well too. It's this way it gave him access to be able to interview some people, and he can help write stories and, like, help, build up what he was doing, um, covering, the NBA. And then after we got all of this material and stuff and everything, like, most of that stuff, unfortunately, did not get featured on the CBS website. And so it kind of frustrated me in the sense that I'm like, "Man, I got all of this stuff of talking basketball and no place to put it." So then one day I was sitting having a conversation with him and I was just like, "Bro, do you wanna do a podcast that's talking NBA?" We decided to record using 2 cell phones and that app. We recorded the very first episode of the Baseline NBA podcast and, kinda went from there. We just basically wanted there to be a space where we're talking NBA and only NBA. And we're not, you know, being held hostage to, well, you'll talk about the NBA only after we've talked about college football or only after we've talked about the NFL, which obviously are the most popular sports. Have the
mhm.
opportunity. I just think it's just been a blessing that we've had this opportunity to be able to do it. And I give all the credit to him, that we have this level of consistency and desire to continue to do it. I don't think you can just do it just simply because, oh, I want to do it and things don't work out. You go and find somebody else and do it with. You've seen iterations of shows where people go and get other people because things don't work out. And then they try to, try to recreate that same magic and it's just not there, which really tells you how much of yourself you put into doing the
Mhm.
show and how much you put into doing the podcast. I can honestly say, man, it's been such a wild experience. You know, do we have like the numbers that like you'll see from like most of these other major podcasts that are out there? Nah. The one thing that I can honestly say that I'm proud of is the fact that we want to continue to keep doing it and we still continue to keep doing it. But we've had opportunities to interview athletes, authors, We've interviewed pro NBA players. We've interviewed people in who do partnerships with the NBA, who those who work with NBA players and doing fundraising efforts. So, like, what's really been cool is the fact that we haven't just confined it to saying we're only going to talk about just what happened today in the NBA. Like, there are so much other things that are happening in the NBA,
Within the NBA.
right, that I think most people don't know about, and that in ways can help give people um, another reason for them to be interested in listening, or not just us, but also checking out, the NBA in and of itself. It's why, as a global brand, the NBA has expanded so far. You know what I'm saying? So, people are going to go to the major networks in order to hear and consume their information when it comes to the NBA. And we get that. There's no skirting. I think if the intent was is that, hey, we want to, then why not try to do whatever we can to get signed by them? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that was the intent. And it's not to say that that could ever be a goal, but I think where, especially for doing this for as long as we've been doing this, where I have seen that we have carved a niche is one, the uniqueness in the delivery, and then to your point in what you were just saying, Lisa, there is clearly a chemistry that myself and Shaw have had that have been built up over the years of doing this. It's not something that, Shaw came in and he was a professional podcaster. I came in, I was a professional podcaster. There were certain things that helped influence the ability for us to find that chemistry. One of the things that I appreciate the most is when I get feedback from our people that we've interviewed, whether it's after the show or after the show has been released, and they come back and they say, "Man, I had a really good time talking with you guys." He's like, "Damn, like, yo, I would love to." He's like, "I would wish that you guys, let me know the next time you want to come back on." Like, they want to come back on and have us do another episode or do another show. That means the world to us because it gives us a validation of saying, they can go on a million and one of these different shows and they can feel some kind of way. But uniquely, they felt a good way after the end of being on our show, regardless of whether or not our show got one listener or download or got 1,000 downloads. Like, that to me validates we know what we're doing.
Time.
Especially for all of the shows that we've done interviews and things of that nature, it's been one take. I may have to take out a couple of things because there may have been an interruption in the sound, or got to splice something because something came off choppy, but the flow of the questions and the responses, everything literally just stays in there. And I think people appreciate that authenticity of the exchange with the host, and with the person who's being interviewed, and back and forth. And that to us speaks loudly. Like, we respect that so much because it means it matters to us that what we're doing is we're making them feel comfortable. And, you know, they're enjoying that experience and not looking at it as, "Oh god, I gotta jump on another show. I gotta do another plug." You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta try to force feed an engaging conversation that otherwise would never be engaging because they just have bad experiences with the people who are hosting that show or doing the Q&As with them and things of that nature, and we just don't want that to be the experience for it. Yeah. The flip side to this as well too is, look, you can have the greatest editors in the world, and, there are some great people out there who do great editing work and things of that nature, and they can edit everything and make it look all well and good. But what doesn't get discussed is, if you're interviewing someone that's got a little bit of clout, they've got a little bit of teeth in the game, you don't think that they're gonna start talking to some of their friends. You eventually are gonna try and reach out to those same friends and wanna do interviews with them, and the word has not already gotten around, "No, no, no, don't do anything with that cat. That cat, nah, you're not gonna enjoy that experience." We don't ever wanna be in that space where our credibility is compromised just because it was so necessary to catch that person in a moment. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
the moment really should be about what is it that you really feel is necessary to discuss. And I think as any good host, you can help elevate that conversation to such a degree that it will be click worthy.
Doing that.
We've been doing it for as long as we've been doing it. And so that's always been, like, again, like when I say it's just, things happen for a reason. and stuff like that, man. That's the reason why I've appreciated so much. And now through that, we have, 19 Media Group, and we have the family of all of these people with unique personalities and unique stories to tell. And we're helping to help create a platform that gives them that voice for them to speak those stories, to give that perspective, and to reach out to even broader audiences. And even our sports listeners, they're not always listening to sports. There may actually be something from that they can pull from there and be like, yo, these guys do something more than just talk NBA. You know what I'm saying? And so if there's a way for us to continue to keep doing that, we're going to continue to keep doing that. We do what we call the autopsy reports. So um, once the NBA has confirmed that they're, as us Jamaicans say, dead and gone, Barry and Gwe, Shaw and I play CSI, and we, kind of look at, what's going on with this team, why things turned the way that they did, and whether or not, there's a possibility of resuscitating them for next season. Like, what is it going to take in order to, probably look into doing things in the off season for them to improve and possibly improve upon what obviously has been a disappointing year for getting knocked out this early. So
It's
we just
not
finished, you can go to ESPN and, if they are in the mood, they'll have a conversation about your team, maybe, unless
right.
something controversial. Um, or you can go to any of these major networks and they'll probably talk about what's going on. What Sean and I like to do is we like to try to bring some perspective to it that may go beyond that. And it may be something that most of these networks don't have the time to
Time
facilitate
to do.
that conversation. So we're not afraid to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Does that mean that, it makes us the most credible? Probably not. But I'm sure that we're not the only person who's thinking along those lines. Like, hey, man, is it that once the team gets eliminated, we can't talk about them? You should talk about them. Like, if you're a fan and
Mhm.
you're paying money, you wanna know, like, what do I need to do for me to come into that same arena, but not as a team that's 16 and 58? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of our media influence, whether it's podcasting, radio, wherever your background comes from, if there's something from within your culture that has made you uniquely different and you figure out a way to fuse that in there, you've quote unquote, you have, found the ring.
You found the ring, right. You found the sweet spot.
Exactly. So that's, kinda like where we are, man. Like, I like the idea that we may seem like old heads to most people because of some of the references and, phrases that we throwing out there. But I like that because I know that a good portion of our audiences are people that grew up watching the game of basketball the same age as we are.
Mhm.
And, while we're still trying to bridge the gap, young kids, right, they're on the Anthony Edwards and the Jason Tatums and those guys. There's still that, there's still that bridge, you know what I mean?
Right.
We were been so focused about trying to carve out our space in the NBA space that we didn't even realize that we were also having an impact in other spaces because of the material and the content and the way that we've been going about doing our show, the influences that we input with the hip hop, things that we speak to from a political sense when we addressed, certain stances that the NBA players took during with George Floyd and Milwaukee Bucks. Like, we didn't have to be in those spaces. Our advocacy to see more black women being prevalent and present in the sports space and things of that nature, and giving opportunities for those that are currently doing shows to get on and talk about their shows, but also talk sports with us and things of that nature. We've done those things. Now, have we done those things where it's like 3 million people plus people were able to catch that, see that? No. But even if it was just that small gathering of people that did catch on to that and uniquely find into that, hopefully that they know that we genuinely wanted to make that something. 19 Media Group doesn't happen unless shows like ours and the ones that we help support and the ones that support us in turn are doing that and are
Mhm.
doing that on a consistent basis. There's no way that people can look and say, "Oh, yeah, 19 Media Group is about amplifying voices," but neither of these guys really try and support each other, and then you can tell me you're gonna have a coherent message telling anyone, whether it's in front of a camera or off the camera, that that's exactly what's happening. So, to your point, in order for you to be able to help amplify the voice, You gotta know about those individual shows, those individual hosts. What what is it that they're doing to build their even if you're someone who's just doing an individual show, knowing who's helping you work on the show, who's helping you put together, the topics for the show, who's helping on your marketing strategy or your social media strategy. Knowing all of those things plays a big role in how you collectively come together to make it the best product possible because it's a representation of yourself. It speaks to who you are and what it is that you're passionate for. I can't imagine that you just leaving it in the hands of someone, but you don't know who that person
Because it
is
is.
and thinking you're going to get the outcome that
Outcome that you want.
reflects
Right.
who you are as a person. That's asinine. It'll never happen. Even if you think it is, it's not. Y'all remember that song um, from Jermaine Stewart? You don't have to take your clothes off. You don't remember this song?
No.
Have to
Wait, hold on.
clothes off to have a good time.
Oh,
Yes.
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 You don't have to go some
Uh-huh.
night.
Yes, I know that.
Which is ironic, y'all are drinking wine and you don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, this is come on.
Because we're
Wait, I know
drinking.
what
That's
you're
what
talking about. I
we
just
know
I had to
I had to no, we needed your
I don't
rendition of
always
it.
know the
Right.
names of songs.
That was what you wanted. That's what you didn't
Alright,
really need your
maybe.
theory to care about the question. You wanted to just see some
Wait, I'm sorry, I forgot again. Can you sing again, please?
yeah, right. This song has been, like, in my head intermittently, like, throughout, like, forever. And so, yeah, I have an actual playlist I call the Way Back. And so, I'm sitting here just rifling, like, throwing songs in there. First thing coming to my head around stuff that I was listening to as a kid, 'cause I know I'm gonna forget about it, but I'm probably gonna wanna listen to it and hear it.
Like the random you'll never hear it's not something that would get played again ever, so
Unless you're on that radio station, a
station.
person who's as old as you that, like, don't you know the song. Well, nobody else does, right? So,
Oh,
yeah, so shout outs and, prayers up to Jermaine Stewart, you know
what was that song again, Lisa? What was that song again?
I
Can
don't
you
know, she's
refresh
gonna
our
have to sing
memory?
it again. I can't remember now.
Yeah, just replay this video just replay this episode. That's all you gotta do.
That's a good
Only
one,
take a few.
okay.
Yeah, we deserve it.
I'm a co-host of the Baseline NBA podcast. The Baseline NBA podcast, we discuss the hot button topics of the NBA. I co-hosted with my best friend, PNC, partner in crime, Warren Shaw. You can always catch us on all the major outlets as far as where you listen to podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever you use. You can just look up the Baseline NBA podcast. We also have a website, www.thebaselinenbapodcast. And you can catch, not just this episode that we're currently doing covering the autopsy report, but all the great episodes we have archived on there. So we encourage y'all to kind of, you know, check us on what we usually are doing and what we are doing. And then also as well too, as we've kind of been spotting it in every now and again and sprinkling it in about the 19 Media Group family. This is an effort headed by my man Shaw and my brother Malik Johnson. These guys, man, these are my brothers. We grew up in college together. We wrote rhymes, but now more importantly, man, they've helped establish a platform that allows other great content creators to have a voice for them to, uniquely elevate a space, to create a community for the things that interest them and hopefully interest their listeners. And so go to www.19mediagroup.com to check out not just our show is also on there, featured on there, but there's we got a list of great content creators and their shows and things of that nature. So whether it's music, culture, sports, entertainment, you name it, somewhere on there, 19 Media Group has got it in there. And so definitely go out there, show your love and support, man. And that's what it's all about, man. Instilling and building. So
Ooh, we're stealing that.